What up, everybody? Now, you know, as I was posting my last video, I got questions from Chris at UCW, and he had about 10 questions, and I figured that with Johnny Awesome 24's what would I do if I was head of WWE Creative, I figured I had a good enough Q&A session, so I figured I'm going to do it now. So there you go. But yeah, he texted me. I mean, Facebook, MySpace, hell, you comment. You know, I'll answer. So let's get going. First question, what's my take on NXT and the cast of Season 2? I like the concept. 8 pros, 8 rookies. I like the challenges. I kind of like what it does. I like the show. So I'm a fan. As far as Season 2, the cast, you know, I'll just go over them. If I have anything to say about them, I will. Husky Harris, Rotundo's kid. He's a big boy. Obviously doesn't look like a bodybuilder, which is a good thing. He's a throwback. I just hope he comes out of his shell as far as his interviews go. And being with Cody Rhodes, I think's interesting. 3rd generation, 2nd generation. You know. All right. Eli Cottonwood, 7 feet tall. You can't teach height. However, he's plain. And he's skinny. I don't know. Really doesn't stand out to me. But hey, maybe John Morrison can bring it out in him. We'll see. Percy Watson. I do like Percy. I think he's very energetic. I think he's got a lot of talent as far as charisma-wise. I'm interested to see what he can do. And I think only thing is I wish MVP was a little more enthusiastic. Hey man, you're on NXT. It was a good show. Brings out a little more of your personality, and hell, you're on TV as long as that guy. I mean, you're even more on TV than you already are. So take the good. Tyz O'Neill. Shrug my shoulders. Zack Ryder. Put my hands up for that one. Caval. Big fan. I mean, he can kick your head in, so obviously I don't want to get him mad. I don't want him to stomp on me either. But, you know, he's been a pro, got the voice, that very deep voice, you know, comes out of nowhere. And he's with Lay Cool. I think comedy ensues, and I think it's a win-win for both. Lucky Cannon, Mark Henry, and I'll move on. Michael McGillicuddy, Henny's kid. He looks the part. He's got the aggression. I expect good things. And Kofi, I think it's a solid storyline. You got the kid of a Hall of Famer with being led by someone else. I can, you know, by Kofi. I could see a really solid storyline out of that. And I like Alex Riley. I think he's Ken Kennedy 2010 for WWE. I mean, I know he's Ken Anderson somewhere else, but, you know, they obviously need someone who can talk about himself and Seven Dorks like he put. And I think that's cool. And he's with Miz, so, you know, mischief's gonna be run rampant. The 4 that stick out to me: Riley, McGillicuddy, Caval, and Watson. But that's my opinion, and that's without seeing anything other than their videos on WWE.com. Yes, it's the only plug you're going to get, WWE.com. Anyway, see, twice. I can sell your product too. Explain the role of PCW Uncut on PCW. Now, Uncut was our Friday night. I turned it into a developmental show. At first it was free, but once I took over, we actually started charging fans. And PCW had a Saturday night show. It was our TV taping, DVD taping. It's where we brought in the stars, had all the smoke and mirrors. I was the champ, but that was our full throttle show. I had been given the reins of Uncut. We went on Christmas break, and then we had a mass exodus during Triple Xmas 2004, so now my job was to find talent. I worked really well with Richard Hill, who was booking our Full Throttle show, and I was the champ, so I really didn't feel like I needed to do a whole lot on Uncut. I was a special appearance kind of situation, which was cool, because I really wanted to kind of play mad scientist and write up the story and see where we could take it. But it was a developmental show. That was the way I looked at it. It was a way of bringing in talent that would help the product out overall. And really, you want to talk about a list of roster guys, I'll just run them down. At least they're very popular where we're at, where I came from. But let's see, Luke Bronson, Kevin Payne or Keith Lee, Andy Dalton, Let me think, who else? Robert Evans, JT LaMotta, Wally Darkman, Richter got on PCW television by putting on a gi, Paul Lewis, Brandon Collins, Nobi Bryant, Jessica James. I said Robert Evans, but man, Robert Evans, man. I mean, really, I went to bat for all these guys. Like, you have to put them on the show. Gigolo James Johnson, Stephen Murphy. Oh, the list of guys just goes on and on. We had a great synergy, a great collaborative effort by a lot of guys. Franco D'Angelo started on Uncut. Yes, he did. He did. I don't care what he says. He started. Franco Valentino, Franco D'Angelo, whatever. Yeah, he was on there as well. So, oh, I forgot. American, no. Aaron Eagle. He went from a Boy Scout to a success story in the making. Yes, I went to bat for every single one of those guys, and really I felt it was a good place to develop talent, and also it was a good way of bringing in some of the full throttle talent to kind of put over their angles so we could bring in some of that audience. But it was a great time, man. I had a blast, and I had a great roster, as I pointed. I mean, all those guys went on to do great stuff, or have gone on to do great stuff. Mind of Wrestling, JT LaMotta, just saying. Y'all got your start with me. Would it work again on the indies? The only way it would really work, to be honest, is if you had that kind of scenario again, like you were running a weekly Saturday show that was televised, that was doing DVDs, that was something, and that would give your Friday night crew an incentive to come in, and it would be a good way of doing, you know, dark matches to see what these guys could do. If you do dark matches, you wouldn't have to do them on a Saturday show, you could do them on a Friday, but only if you had a building you could do that. I mean, when I was running it, we ran Fridays and Saturdays, and we ran every week for the most part. So there you go. What's my view of WWE giving African American stars pushes? You know, man, I guess the question more is, I like their pushes. I mean, you got Kofi, you've got R-Truth, you got MVP. I mean, you've got a few guys. You know, you had Crime Time for a little bit. You have Mark Henry's always around. Ezekiel Jackson. I mean, there's a few guys, but I haven't seen a guy on top of the card since King Booker. Have you? Because I haven't. I can't think of one. I mean, I think with some tweaks, you could get Kofi in the main. I think do a certain type of push and get R-Truth further. I like their pushes, but like I said, you don't see any of them contending for the big belt. You see them kind of in specialty matches, but you don't ever really see be the figurehead. That's what I'm saying. So, but it's a solid push. I mean, I think WWE does a good job of pushing all kinds of talent all over the place. So, but I'll get into that more in a bit. What does TNA have to do to create a better product? Whoa! That question, that's a loaded question. I don't know. I'm not going to give a whole lot. I'm just going to, I took some notes. I was taking notes. I'm not going to do TNA's job for them. I'm not going to write their stuff out. But hey, I am available, and if you want, Dixie Carter, MySpace, Facebook, hell, you can even respond to this video or at least subscribe. But I would help. I would be willing. You know, pay me decent. Pay me decent. I'm not even talking 6 figures. I mean, you pay me a good 5. Hell, you can pay me per show that I put together. But anyway, this is what I think. I'm not going to say fire someone. I'm not going to say, hey, get rid of these guys, get rid of those guys. But, you know, in order to make a better product, I think you would have to publicly, like, have Bischoff and Hogan actually live up to what they said when they first got there, which was it would be all about competition, all about pushing the young guys, and all about pushing the young guys to the forefront, and da-da-da-da-da, and all the veterans taking a back seat. And I would literally do that. And I would fire guys publicly who weren't you know, like survival of the fittest. I mean, if they're not doing their job or they don't look motivated to be there, I don't care who they are, I don't care what their pay status is. I'm saying, you know, if you're like, yeah, you're not doing the job, get out. And just create this idea that it is a creative environment. I'd keep the top 10. I would never have had Angle in it. I think it's a good storyline to have Angle out of it. Stop giving away pay-per-view matches for free, and what I mean by that is if you have Rob Van Dam and AJ Styles slated for a main event at a pay-per-view, I would not have them do Impact a couple weeks beforehand. Just wouldn't do it. That's what house shows are for. If you want to see what those two guys get some kind of comfortability against one another, but yeah, I just wouldn't do that. That's just me, though. That's just me. I would make people pay to watch it. And if you have good matches, then make them pay to watch it. I wouldn't really mention the WWE. I mean, they're not mentioning you. They're in their own universe. You're a separate entity. Treat yourself as a separate entity. I mean, you can make reference to it, obviously. I mean, you don't want to completely, you know, negate it, but at the same time, just, there's no need. I wouldn't cheat the fans. Again, it goes back to Bischoff and Hogan. Y'all, you say you're about the fans, be about the fans. If the fans vote for Desmond Wolfe, by golly, give Desmond Wolfe a pay-per-view main event slot, or at least a semi-main, or, you know, pretty solid run, at least. Let's see what he can do. You give him 25 minutes against Rob Van Dam. I mean, I think people would see that. X Division should be what separates you from everybody else. That's what you have. You have the X Division. Give it its proper due. I mean, you have Doug Williams, but he's doing like backstage vignette. I'd give him a little bit more. You know? 1 second. And I'm back. Doug Williams, like I said, X Division. Yeah, I just, if you don't feel like he's the guy, which I think he potentially could be, but I would give the X Division more than you're giving him. And if you have to do that, then, you know, a guy like De Niro or a guy like Joe, somebody who's really not doing a whole lot anyway, let him have the title and let him create great matches with guys just for the sake of creating great matches. Make the X Division title like your ultra competitive title. Make it have its own code so that it's separate from the political stuff. You can even have a guy like Joe who's like, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the politics. I don't care about Hogan. I don't care about this. I don't care about Bischoff. I just want my own title, and I'm going to do my own thing. And if you guys don't like that, oh well. You know, and I think it would make for some very interesting stuff, especially with the camera work. I think the camera work backstage is pretty cool. It's something I thought of doing at IWE, and I think we try to implement it, but they can implement it a lot better because they just have the resources. I mean, just the time and the resources and guys on board, so on and so forth. But, I mean, I would do that. I'd like more of the beautiful people. I just would. I think just more of them. More ladies who can wrestle, more ladies who are outside the norm. I'm cool with that. Look to the future, not the past. Definitely look to the future, not the past. Look forward. I think that's what WWE does a really good job of. They pay homage to their past and their history, but they move forward. They get young talent. They do things. You got to do something like that. But yeah, look to the future. Tag team division should headline shows in some respects. That's a belt that's been held by some great teams. Same thing with the X Division. I think you have titles that realistically, if you put on the right guys, you could main event Impact with those type of matches and give some fans something different, so the fans are like, wow, this is something different, truly something different. Yeah, I think that's about it. Let's see, what's next? See? I know this video is going to be long. Do I feel that TNA should banish the Knockouts tag division? If you don't have enough girls, yes. But I like it being on the beautiful people. I do. Like if honestly, if they didn't have the tag division, they could do what Lay Cool's doing and have 3 girls holding the titles, you know, the singles title. But that's cool. But yeah, if they don't have enough girls really to populate a tag division, why do one? Where do you think the state of the industry is right now, and where do I see the industry heading? Now, as far as right now, I think it's in a pretty good state. As far as, you know, you've got your major WWE and you've got TNA who's doing their best. You got ROH. I think the industry's pretty solid. It's just the economy is what it is. It's going to hit everybody hard. Entertainment is one of those luxury items, so you know people are going to pay for it. At the same time, UFC's got or garnered interest, you know, and they seem to be the cool, flashy thing. I think the industry as a whole, so I think that's where it's at. You know, it's competitive. It's still a great show. They still do good box office as far as the big WWE. TNA, you know, they're struggling, but I think if they could find their identity and really hammer down that they are something different and really treat the fans well, you've got that. And then you've got ROH as the underground, and you've got all these little places. I think you've got a lot of wrestling, just a lot of people trying to do it. So as far as where it's headed, I'm always a fan of you going more over the top and being what UFC isn't. You know, being different, just being different. Making it more of a spectacle, and I think that's where it's going to head. It's just going to be bigger and broader and huger, and I don't think we'll have quite the collapse that we had, because WWE's just kind of, they have their universe. So as long as the universe is strong, wrestling's going to be around. It may not be what everybody likes, but, you know, until you find that true alternative, or TNA can really turn it on its ear. But hey man, it is what it is. Now here's one. Run down my top 10 in Texas right now, and then also the top 10 in the majors. Now, for me, a top 10 is in Texas and even in the majors, which is TNA, WWE. But let me cover Texas first. That's hard. I really go, if you had asked me that a few years ago, I would have given you a completely different answer. But we're talking now. We're talking guys that I see or guys that I see on a regular basis. That's how I go on it. I go by, do they entertain me? Do they entertain the fans? Are they paying attention to the fans? I'm not really worried about athleticism so much, although there's a place for that. I'm more worried, can you tell a story? And are you just entertaining to watch? Like, if I was in town, would I go to pay to watch you perform? So, with that, I'm going to kind of give you a top 10. Top 10. And this is just kind of, I'll start with 10, kind of, anyone can be 10. I mean, that's, you know, if I had a roster, 10 would be that person I would bring in. Like, if I was booking a show, here's my top 10. And this is, certain things have to be in place. But, you know, I'd say ACH, Ryan Johnston, Wally Darkman, Eddie Craven, I mean, Russell Simpson, Doc Cheatham, you know, Psycho Simpson, Kevin, Fox, Jessica James, Poison, you know. Those would be that 10. Like, if I had a spot free, 10 spot, that's who I would get right there, you know. 9, JT LaMotta. He's been, you know, to Japan. He's done his thing, and I like the mind of wrestling. I do. I'm a fan of his. Same can be said for Scott Summers. I like the demeanor. I like what he does. You know, I just don't see enough of him, but when I see him, you know, I like his shtick. Robert Evans, from the time he was on Uncut to even before when I'd see him do promos, the kid he's got a creative mind, and he does some stuff. I mean, he's very brave out there, and he's just a showman. Gustavo Mendoza, I think he's on his way. Very solid in the ring. Jared Steele, veteran. I like what I see. He gets over with the fans. Anytime I see him, and you know, saw him at Clute. I mean, the fans. Wow. Ryan Davidson, definitely a guy I've had many wars with, but a very solid guy. A sensation, your feature presentation, I think, hands down, one of the top guys out there. Whether he's your tag partner or he's opposite you, I think he's a worthwhile competitor. Mysterious Q, not since Sabu as a guy gotten away with not talking and still gotten over. Immensely popular. Immensely popular. And then finally, you know, I hate to top the list, but, you know, if I got to think top guy, you're looking at him. Me. There's no show without me. There's no show without Steve DeMarco. Yes, other guys have said it. Sorry, Mike Fox. I know without the main event there is no show, but really there is no show without me. Me right here. This guy. I do YouTube. Yes, I'm on here on a constant basis. You're watching me right now. I am entertaining. Maybe I'm slightly a lounge act, but you know what? I get with the fans. We're right here. And that's why I think I'm number one. Yay for me! Now, top 10 in the majors. And I'm not going to put them in any particular order. This is kind of like, again, 10. You know, there's a conglomerate of guys. Mysterio, Wolf, Motor City Machine Guns, Beer Money, Anderson. I'd say all those guys around there, like Edge. You know, they're close to number 10. Taker. I still love to see Taker. These are guys that I would love to see. I would pay to see. Taker, still big time mark out for that guy. And I think he's great with what he does. Triple H. Still a big fan of Triple H's work. I mean, I remember back in the day when he was supposedly climbing back up the ladder when he had lost the title. He fought Taka Michinoku to an impressive match. Made Taka look like $1 million. The greats can do that, and he is still one of the greats. Great on the mic. He can bring the people in just by talking, and he can make a guy simply by being across the ring from him. So, John Cena. Yeah, I'm going to say it. John Cena. I watched that guy do Great American Bash 2004, immensely over. Immensely over. He was in a four-way, immensely over. And he's still over 6 years later. Over. I know people don't like him, but you know, honestly, when I watch him work, he's another one that can really make a guy just by being across the ring. He's put years in that company, and I got to hand it to him. You know, maybe not the most technically savvy guy, but honestly, neither was Hogan. So, yeah. Yeah. And Lee, you know, does this. I mean, whatever, you know. Samoa Joe. I like watching Joe's work. I like it when he's having fun, but I like him being a badass mofo. Yeah, I do. Jericho, best in the world. And he is one of the top guys, period. I've been a fan of his for decades, so dig him. Kurt Angle, I can still watch a Kurt Angle match and be in awe. I mean, from WrestleMania 21, even before that, you know, 2000, when he was going through guys and he was a rookie and, you know, tapped out the Taz and all of that. I mean, guy's still a tremendous competitor, and really, I think he even elevated his game as far as taking Daredevil spots when he came to TNA. Rob Van Dam, he's still the whole effing show. I'm still a fan of his. Yeah, I dig him. Who doesn't? Randy Orton, RKO, he's over as a face without really changing up his game, without really changing up. I mean, he brought back the pose. I know plenty of guys on the indies who would emulate him, from the RKO to I do the backbreaker. I mean, when he did the punt to the head, I thought, man, that's a cool move. The RKO's cool. He's just a cool guy. And then I'd say AJ Styles. Ultimately, I think AJ's on a different level to some degree. The guy has put a company on his back for a lot of years. I really thought when he first teamed up with Flair that was his coming out party, because that promo he did was pretty solid. Not the greatest guy on the mic, but you know what? When he's comfortable, he's comfortable. And I think when he finally stands up to Flair and he finally becomes his own man, and we see truly AJ Styles, the new face, I think you're in for it. And I'm intrigued. So there you go. That's my top 10. When will I start promoting my own shows? When I have the money to do such. No. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'd rather write, and that be my main concern. I'm not too concerned about being, yeah, I'm just not. Sorry. I'd rather just put the show together as far as telling the story and be the host. And then as far as promoting goes, I mean, if I had someone who had financial backing, then I'd be more apt to do it and be more willing. Number 9, what are a few unique ways to promote a show? Ladies in free. You know? Men come at a discount if they bring a lady. That'd be a unique promotion tool. Yeah, that have a band, have like a battle of the bands, and in between you have some wrestling matches, or like a rave, something, you know, just something like bring the party to the show kind of situation. Theme parties like Pajama Jammy Jam, you know, the wrestlers have to wrestle in pajamas. That would be a personal favorite. You'd have me out there in pajamas. Just a few. What would you call a successful indie show? I've said this many times. A show that makes money. That's a successful indie show to me. A show that makes money and that people talk about years after and makes them want to go to the next one. And we're so successful that people would bite off it. That's a successful indie show. Now finally, Johnny Awesome 24. I know. You've got so much to do, but you're taking your time to listen to me. Booking WWE. Again, like with TNA, I'm sorry. I am willing to take a job as part of creative. I don't have to be head of creative. I just think that if you need some creative ideas, I'd be your man. So for TNA and WWE, I am available. I don't even have to be on the show. I mean, you give me a Lucha Lounge. I would wear pajamas and interview people. But if I was booking WWE, and I'm not going to take away from what they are doing, I mean, as head of creative, I couldn't probably come in and do a grand swarming, you know, I'm the hand of God or whatever. I couldn't do that, I don't think, and I wouldn't. I wouldn't hit the restart button. I wouldn't fire certain guys. No. Minor things. That would be what the head of creative is, because I'd have writers for both shows, or all 4 of my shows, all 6 hours, and then, you know, sometimes 9 hours. I would book the pay-per-views. That would be me as head of creative, because that would be the blow-off. But what you do on Raw, what you do on SmackDown, not too worried. But I would tell you, I'd have some ground rules. I'd keep both brands unique and separate. I would not have anyone from SmackDown come to Raw, unless you're the Unified Tag Team Champions. Those would be the only guys. Everybody else, stay in your brand. Do not come to my brand. Do not come to Raw if you're on Raw. Do not go to SmackDown if you're from, you know, just don't cross. The only time that you'd see them crossing would be pay-per-views, and it would be special occasions. But I wouldn't have them interrupting each other. I would keep the brands as separate as humanly possible. I'd elevate titles' importance. Your United States, your Intercontinental, and make them kind of close to the #1 contender. Close to the main event without truly being the main event. I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, I'd just elevate the title's importance. I would. I'd just make every title more important. Just because I don't feel it's a prop. I would feel like you would have to make it important, and that they do that to an extent. I'd bring back King of the Ring and treat it as big of a deal as it used to be. I mean, Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Could you imagine Stone Cold Steve Austin without the King of the Ring speech? I don't think you could. Could you imagine the Brock Lesnar run, the Kurt Angle run? I mean, stuff like that. You know, the last King of the Ring, Regal won it, and I know he got suspended or whatnot, but still you had King of the Ring. You know, Booker T made a whole character out of being King Booker. So, you know, I'd bring it back. I'd elevate tag team importance. Make those titles, and again, kind of like with TNA, I'd make like the U.S. title and the Intercontinental, you know, matches that could headline at least SmackDown and Raw. Same thing with the tag belts. And I'd force Teddy Long to feel like I need to get these titles back to SmackDown. I need to have a representative of SmackDown and create teams that would do it, kind of like what they did when they first had the tag team titles introduced in SmackDown. They had, you know, singles guys who may not get along who became tag team partners, and, you know, I like that. You know, just flush it out. I'd keep the guest host thing, but I'd make them excited to want to be there. I mean, Ashton Kutcher did vignettes. I don't even know if he was in the building. I don't like that. You know, I prefer to have that rub. We're going to give you the rub by selling your product and promoting what you're doing, whether it be a movie, CD, or whatever. The least you could do is show up, get the names right of the guys, kind of treat it like Saturday Night Live. You've got 2 hours to do whatever you want, but, you know, how can you involve yourself? Like the MacGruber thing, I think, was genius. Seth Green, genius. I mean, I think in instances where it's like that, where they're interacting with the universe, I think that's way better than just shilling a product. Lay cool, keep it. Stipulations, I'd make them mean something. You know, if Orton can't challenge for the heavyweight title as long as John Cena, by God, he just wouldn't be there. He would be on SmackDown. You know, he would, and then try to come back and do like title versus title or something like that. I'd keep the belt on Swagger. I think he's kind of like what JBL was. He's going to be a solid guy to elevate and be the guy who can hold the title, and all those other guys can try to grasp for it. I think you need to have a heel champion on there, just so, you know. I'd have Truth and Cena champion versus champion. I'd have the U.S. champion, R-Truth, just eventually gain such momentum and get some big wins on people, and eventually challenge John Cena. Not heel-wise, just, you know, he wants to see against the best. John Cena's the man. I want to see what I can do against the man. Champion versus champion. Make it a big deal. Make it a pay-per-view. Hell, it could be right around Royal Rumble or before that. You know, it could be December for all I care. But champion versus champion kind of deal. And that would be elevating R-Truth. You know, at one point, I think before he got to WWE, he tried to make those challenges while he was at TNA. So, I mean, have that, you know, rap contest. Just do something to where these two, and Cena being the overtly confident champion and proud champion, you know, digs, you know, the Truth's deal, and then at some point they have their issue, face versus face, and you build it. You can build it. The what's up and can't see me, and it's just it'd be a cool thing. And another thing I would like to see would be Taker and Punk. Straight Edge Society. I just think he'd be a masterful heel, and, you know, put them two together. Maybe he's the one who attacked Taker, or it's just the Streak versus the Straight Edge Society. You know, just kind of this thing. So I think that's about it, man. I was asked about tats. I might talk about my tats in the next one. It depends. I'm sure this is going on over 30 minutes. So. I'm sorry. I was kind of excited about, you know, the question and answer stuff. So appreciate taking your time to listen to this. I'm hoping you just listened, because I was doing my thing, but I appreciate you taking time, obviously. Next video, like I said, it could be about the tats. Just depends. I've got about 5 of them I could discuss about how they are, what they mean to me, and kind of plans I have for some of them. And maybe talk a little bit about, you know, getting back on the training regimen, which I hopefully will start this week. That's my plan, my goal. June 12th, I will be in attendance at Clute. I think we have some thing in the making. And then June 26th, I'm back in Victoria. And then July, I've got, you know, moving. And I got some shows lined up. Possibly a trip back to Austin in late July. So got a lot to look forward to. A lot of reasons to get back on it. So again, appreciate your attention, your time. And as always, I appreciate any feedback, obviously. And if you have questions, do not hesitate to ask. I do not have a problem. If someone wanted me to talk about my times at the Reaver House, good old days. But who knows? I don't know. We'll see where this takes me. And as always, I appreciate you taking the time. So I know I've been saying that a lot, but it's like I always like to say. But you know what? I'm not going to say it today because I think you're staying cool. I think you're staying sexy, and I think you're staying classy because you're right here visiting me. I appreciate it. Come visit again. It's been too long. See? I know. Right here. Later.